The laughing crowd. Jack Ryker stood in the middle of the alien crowd, feeling small. The planet Xeron 9 was beautiful, but its people were not kind. Bright towers touched the sky, and glowing streets stretched far into the distance. But Jack's human skin, short height, and soft voice made him look weak in front of the tall, strong aliens. He had come on a peace mission from Earth, an engineer, not a warrior. His job was to study old alien tech and learn from it. But here, no one respected him. The aliens whispered, smirked, and stared. Some didn't bother to hide their laughter. "Look at the human. He can't even carry a plasma tool," one alien shouted. "He should be cleaning floors, not studying our sacred tech," said another. Jack smiled politely, but inside, he felt the sting. He wasn't used to this kind of hate. On Earth, he was respected. Here, he was a joke. The grand arena was full of watchers. Aliens in shiny armor performed a display of strength, jumping, fighting, and lifting heavy weapons. The crowds cheered for them. Jack stood off to the side, quietly watching. He held a small scanner, trying to focus on his task. Suddenly, an alien warrior named Thork walked over. He was tall, with red scales and golden armor. He was the strongest fighter in the Empire. "You don't belong here, human," Thork said, with a grin. "This arena is for warriors, not weaklings." Jack tried to stay calm. "I'm just watching, learning." Thork laughed loudly. "Learning? You people can't even survive outside your Earth bubble. You're soft, you break easily." The crowd laughed with him. Even the children pointed at Jack and laughed. Jack turned away and walked quietly. He didn't want to fight. He didn't want attention. But deep inside, something burned. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. His small room in the alien base felt even smaller now. The stars outside the window looked cold. He remembered Thork's words and the laughter. He clenched his fists. "I came to help, not to be laughed at," he whispered. Unable to rest, Jack grabbed a flashlight and walked outside the base. He followed a dusty path into the old ruins nearby. His scanner beeped softly. The area was marked forbidden, but Jack didn't care. He had heard whispers about forgotten tech buried in these ruins, older than the Empire itself. Broken stones, strange statues, and half-destroyed towers stood around him. He walked deeper until something caught his eye. A massive structure stood, half buried under vines and soil. It was a crashed spaceship, old, silent, and covered in alien markings. Its surface glowed faintly in the moonlight. Jack stepped closer. His scanner went crazy. "This ship, it's still alive," he said. The door was stuck, but Jack found a side hatch. He forced it open with effort and slipped inside. The air was dry and full of dust. Lights flickered weakly. Strange symbols glowed on the walls. As he walked through the halls, his footsteps echoed. The ship felt more like a tomb, but deep inside he found a chamber, and there it was, standing tall in the center. The armor. It was unlike anything Jack had seen. Tall, dark, covered in strange runes. It looked part machine, part alive. It stood inside a glass case, pulsing softly, like it was sleeping. Jack reached out and touched the glass. Suddenly, the ship's systems powered on. Lights glowed, machines hummed, and a soft voice spoke. "Human detected, identity unknown, bloodline match, awakening process begun." Jack stepped back in, shock. The armor pulsed brighter. "What the?" he whispered. Behind him, something moved. Jack turned around quickly. A group of alien guards had followed him. Thork was with them. "What are you doing here?" Thork barked. "This is a sacred ruin, you filthy human." Jack pointed at the armor. It reacted to me," Thork laughed again. "Of course it did. Old tech always malfunctions. Don't think this rusty suit will make you stronger." The guards laughed with him. Thork turned and ordered them to leave. "Let him play with his junk, it's all he'll ever have." As their footsteps faded, Jack turned back to the armor. Its glow had returned to a soft blue. The case had opened. Just a little. Jack stepped closer, heart beating fast. No one believed in me, he whispered, but maybe this thing does. He placed his hand on it again. The pulse grew stronger. And in that moment, Jack Ryker's journey truly began. The ship that shouldn't work. The ship was not supposed to wake up. It had been silent for 1,000 years, buried under soil, forgotten by time, hidden from the galaxy. The aliens believed it was dead tech, broken, useless. But when Jack touched the ancient armor, the ship stirred like it had been waiting. For him. A soft hum filled the air. The walls lit up, showing glowing alien symbols. Jack stepped, back stunned. His heart beat fast as the floor under his boots vibrated. The voice returned. Partial link detected. Beginning interface test. Jack turned in circles. Hello? Who's speaking? A blue light appeared in the air, forming the shape of a woman's face. Her features were not human. Smooth skin, glowing eyes, and markings across her forehead. I am the Watcher, she said, protector of the first armor. Jack stared at her. Wait, you're an AI? She tilted her head. I am what remains of the ship's memory. You are unexpected. He frowned. Unexpected how? You are human, but your DNA holds ancient echoes, long hidden, long buried. You may be a key. Jack stepped forward, looking again at the armor. The glass casing had fully retracted now, and the armor stood silently like a statue watching him. I don't understand, Jack said. Why me? The Watcher floated beside him. This armor once belonged to a human warrior, chosen during the Shadow Wars. The galaxy forgot them. The Empire buried the truth, but the armor remembers. Jack reached out and touched the cold chest plate. It felt alive. Suddenly, pain shot through his arm. He gasped and pulled back. Blue lines glowed under his skin for a moment, then vanished. What was that? First contact. The armor is curious, said the Watcher. It does not bond easily. It must test your mind, body, and soul. Only then will it accept you. Jack took a deep breath. What do I have to do? Without warning, the room shook. A new door opened behind the armor, revealing a glowing hallway. The trials, the Watcher said. Enter, if you are willing. Jack walked slowly through the door. His boots echoed on the strange metal floor. The hallway curved into a circular room with glowing symbols along the walls. In the center stood a strange platform, like a scanner or teleport pad. Jack stepped on it. Initiating Trial 1, Fire and Survival. Flames exploded around him. The room became an inferno. Jack dropped to the floor, rolling away from a blast of heat. It wasn't real fire, but it felt real. The armor chamber had become a training simulation. Jack ran. Obstacles dropped from above. Firewalls spun in circles. The floor cracked open to reveal molten pits. He jumped, ducked, rolled. He got burned, screamed, fell. But he kept getting up. His clothes were soaked with sweat. His arms trembled. His breath came in gasps. But he did not quit. When it finally ended, he collapsed on the floor. The flames disappeared. Silence returned. The Watcher's voice came again. Trial complete. Results, 67% survival efficiency. Unusual endurance. Jack opened one eye. Is that good? A small laugh escaped her. You are not dead. That is enough. For now. Jack limped back into the armor chamber. The armor stood the same, but this time, it turned toward him. The chest plate opened slightly. One part of the suit, an armored gauntlet, rose from the pedestal and floated toward Jack. He held out his arm. It locked onto his forearm with a click. Warmth spread through him. His muscles felt stronger. His vision sharpened. His mind felt clearer. But it also hurt, like something ancient was entering his soul. He fell to one knee, clutching his head. Visions exploded behind his eyes. He saw a war, giant alien beasts ripping through cities. A line of warriors in glowing armor stood against them. One of them was human. a man with a scarred face and eyes that burned like stars. Jack gasped. The image faded. What was that? The Watcher appeared again. A memory, the armor's, past. It is trying to understand you, as you are trying to understand it. Jack stood slowly. His arm now pulsed with light. Will the armor accept me? It will decide, the Watcher replied. But now the armor knows your name. Jack turned to look at it, and this time, the armor didn't seem lifeless. It watched him back. The test of fire. The armor didn't just test strength, it tested will. Jack Ryker stood in the center of the training chamber. His right arm now wore the gauntlet, cold metal with glowing lines fused to his skin like it had always belonged. But it wasn't enough. The Watcher's voice echoed again. You have passed trial 1, but the armor needs more. If it bonds with a weak heart, the galaxy will fall again. Jack didn't understand everything she meant, but one thing was clear. The armor came with responsibility and danger. Another door slid open, revealing a black corridor. Trial 2, face the fire within. Jack stepped in. At first it was quiet. He walked for nearly a minute through the dark hallway. Then suddenly, the lights vanished, and the floor gave way. He fell, straight into fire. But it wasn't real fire. It was a simulated environment, a burning battlefield, built from memories in the armor's core. Jack landed on cracked ground surrounded by lava rivers, smoke, and screams in a language he didn't know. He wasn't alone. Alien creatures, black-skinned beasts with glowing, red eyes crawled from the flames. Each had claws, long arms, and teeth like swords. They hissed, sensing Jack. He tried to run. His boots slid across molten stone. The gauntlet on his arm responded, forming a glowing shield just in time to block the first strike. The Watcher spoke, inside his head. This is the world your ancestors fought. This is what they died to protect. Do not run. Stand. Jack turned and stood tall. One creature lunged. Jack swung his arm, the shield slamming into its face. Another beast grabbed his leg, but he kicked hard, knocking it into a fire pit. A third creature crawled onto his back. Its breath was hot and sour. Jack reached up, grabbed its neck, and threw it off. He wasn't strong enough. Not yet. But he refused to fall. The gauntlet glowed brighter with each heartbeat. It began to spread, dark metal climbing his shoulder, wrapping around his chest, forming a partial chest plate. The armor was watching, and it was responding. It liked what it saw. Suddenly, everything froze. The fire vanished. The monsters turned to dust. Jack stood in a black void. A tall figure stepped from the darkness. Not a creature, not the Watcher. A man, human, dressed in full armor, glowing red and gold, a sword in one hand. His eyes were pale, fire. He looked like a ghost from the past. Who are you? Jack asked. The figure spoke without moving his lips. I am the first bearer. I died wearing this armor, and now it tests you. Jack stepped forward. Why me? I'm not a soldier. I'm just an engineer. The ghost's voice echoed like thunder. You faced fire. You stood your ground. You protected yourself when you could have begged for mercy. Then he added, You may not be a soldier, Jack Ryker, but you have the heart of one. The vision shattered. Jack gasped as he found himself back in the armor chamber. His body was soaked in sweat. His knees gave out and he collapsed. The Watcher floated above him. Trial 2. Complete. Armor acceptance. 43%. Your spirit is stronger than your form, but that can be changed. Jack looked at the armor. It now had a chest piece and one full arm. He could feel it moving slightly, like it was breathing. Then the Watcher's face turned serious. The Empire knows. You have awakened something they buried long ago. They will come. Jack's heart sank. Let them come. But even as he said it, the floor trembled. Outside the ancient ship, alien soldiers were gathering. Thork was among them, watching from a cliff above. He had brought new scanners and war drones. He sneered. Let's see how much the human enjoys his toy now. Back inside, Jack stood again. His legs shook, but his eyes were steady. He didn't ask for war. He didn't want to be a hero, but the armor had chosen him, and he wasn't going to run. Next trial or not, he was ready. The armor awakens. The ground shook again. Dust fell from the ceiling, and Jack knew they were coming. Outside, Commander. Thork stood with 10 elite alien soldiers and 3 heavy drones. Each drone carried plasma cannons programmed to destroy anything that moved. Behind Thork, curious civilians watched from high cliffs. He lifted a speaker device. Human, you are trespassing on sacred land. Come out now, or we'll turn that ruin into ash. Inside the ancient ship, Jack Ryker didn't move. He stood in the armored chamber, breathing heavily. His body was bruised. His face was marked with soot. The gauntlet on his right arm now connected to a glowing chest plate. Pieces of the armor were forming like puzzle parts, bonding with him slowly. The Watcher's voice spoke in his head. You are not ready. The armor is incomplete. Jack looked down at his shaking hands. But I can't run. Not anymore. Outside, Thork gave the signal. The first drone fired a blast toward the ship's hull. It hit the side wall, metal screamed, and fire burst through the cracks. The civilians gasped. Inside, the chamber lights flickered. The armor glowed bright red. The Watcher's tone changed. Pain recognized. Host is in danger. Protective protocols engaged. Suddenly, the armor reacted. Sharp pieces extended from Jack's shoulder, wrapping down to his legs. A helmet formed halfway over his face. He cried out, but it didn't hurt. It felt like power. The chamber opened. Jack stepped out, his boots now heavy with steel, every step echoing through the ruined halls. The Watcher gave him one last warning. You are not yet chosen, but you are accepted. Defend yourself, Protector. Outside the ruins, Thork walked closer, confident. He waved his hand. Send in the drones. Flush him out. The first drone entered the ship. Its scanners beeped. It turned a corner and froze. Jack Ryker stepped into view, half-armored, eyes glowing under a half-formed visor. The drone fired. Jack rolled to the side, surprisingly fast. The gauntlet on his arm opened like a cannon and returned fire. A flash of blue energy hit the drone's leg, flipping it onto its side. Sparks flew. Thork's eyes narrowed. Engage full force. All 3 drones entered the ruins. Thork's soldiers followed. Inside the maze-like corridors of the ancient ship, Jack moved like a shadow. The armor guided him, speaking to his mind, telling him when to dodge, when to strike. He leapt over fire, slid under collapsed beams, and struck one drone in the core. Boom. Gone. The soldiers began to fear. This isn't normal tech, one shouted. He's sinking with the ship. Another yelled. This armor's, it's alive. Jack took a deep breath and stood tall. You laughed at me, but you didn't know the truth. This wasn't junk. It was waiting. For a human. One soldier tried to rush him with a shock blade. Jack raised his gauntlet, clang, and the armor absorbed the hit. Then it responded, with fire. A burning pulse erupted from Jack's chest plate, knocking back the attacker. One by one, the soldiers fell. Not dead, but defeated, too shocked to fight again. Finally, Thork entered. He wasn't laughing anymore. You stole sacred power, human. Jack walked forward slowly. No. I earned it. Thork charged. His weapon was large, made for crushing. Jack barely blocked the first strike, but the armor moved faster now. It adapted. It matched Thork's speed. Then it went beyond. Jack ducked, spun, and struck Thork in the stomach. The alien roared and swung wildly, but Jack jumped over him, landing behind him, and kicked his leg. Thork fell to one knee. Jack aimed the gauntlet at his chest. Silence. Everyone watching, from drones to soldiers to civilians on the cliffs, held their breath. But Jack didn't fire. He lowered his arm. You mocked me because I was human. But this armor remembers who we were. And soon, so will everyone else. He turned and walked back into the ruins. Thyre, soldiers didn't follow. Even Thork stayed kneeling. Behind Jack, the ship's lights brightened. The watcher whispered, proud and calm, "Now, the galaxy begins to remember." The duel of honor, two suns rose over Xeron 9. The entire capital buzzed with one name, the human. Not Jack Ryker, not engineer, just the human who defeated Thork. He didn't kill. He didn't brag. But everyone saw the video, leaked by one of Thork's own soldiers, a human standing tall in glowing ancient armor, facing a battle squad, and winning. To the common aliens, Jack became a legend overnight, but to the Empire, he became a threat. Inside the Grand Palace, the High Commander of Xeron forces smashed his fist on the table. He humiliated Thork in front of the people, and now they're whispering stories. The ancient prophecy. They think it's real. A noble beside him replied, "Then we end the story. Today. Publicly." Meanwhile, Jack stood alone on the edge of a cliff, armor humming gently on his body. It was still incomplete, but stronger now. He could feel it. Part of him. Beside him stood Thyre, daughter of a famous alien war hero. She had secretly followed Jack since he discovered the ship. She wasn't like the others. "You've started something dangerous," she said quietly. Jack didn't answer right away. He was watching the sunrise. Thyre spoke again. "Do you even know what the armor is?" "No," Jack admitted. "But it knows me." She looked down. The last time it appeared, it nearly tore the galaxy apart. But also, it saved us. My father believed in the legend. He said the armor would only return if the Empire forgot its honor. Jack turned. Then maybe it's time they remembered. An hour later, Jack received the message. A formal challenge. A duel. Public. In the arena of flames. Not just another fight. This was sacred. If Jack won, he would be recognized as a warrior of equal rank to any elite. If he lost, the Empire would erase everything. The ship, the armor, him, the city prepared. Civilians lined the rooftops. Drones flew overhead broadcasting live. The arena was filled with fire pits, stone circles, and ancient weapons displayed for tradition. In the center stood Jack, half-armored, eyes steady. Across from him, Commander Valix, known across 10 systems. His armor was thick silver blue and powered by a rare alien core. He carried a twin-blade weapon that could cut steel in one swing. The High Council sat high above, watching like vultures. Drums sounded. The duel began. Valix moved fast for his size, charging with a roar, blades spinning. Jack blocked with his gauntlet, sliding back from the impact. The crowd gasped. Jack darted left using speed. He landed a strike on Valix's side, but it barely scratched the armor. Valix growled, "You are no warrior." Jack didn't answer. He was focused, listening to the armor, feeling its rhythm. Valix swung hard. Jack ducked, rolled, and kicked him in the back. The commander stumbled. Now the crowd leaned forward. Whispers grew. This human, he's adapting. With every strike, Jack's armor grew smarter, stronger, faster. A second layer slid over his legs. His back gained light armor. His strikes became heavier. Then Valix cheated. He activated hidden boosters in his boots, illegal in sacred duels. He launched toward Jack with speed and slammed into him, sending him flying into a stone pillar. Jack hit hard. His body hurt. Blood ran from his mouth. The crowd gasped. Some cheered, but others booed. There he stood from her seat. "They're breaking the rules." But the council said nothing. Jack lay still. Smoke rose. Valix walked forward, blade raised high. "You should have stayed in your dirt world, human," he hissed. Jack opened one eye. He whispered, "Maybe, but you should have fought fair." Suddenly, the armor pulsed red. A wave of energy surged through Jack. He stood, cracks glowing under his skin, the armor locked in, fully covering him now. The full protector armor had awakened. The watcher's voice echoed across the arena, loud enough for all to hear. The ancient code is clear. The armor answers only to honor, and you have none. Jack moved. He vanished from sight for a second, then appeared behind Valix. One punch, that's all it took. Valix flew across the arena, crashing into the wall, unconscious. Silence fell. Then, cheering, wild, loud, from rooftops to city walls. Jack stood in the arena center. He didn't smile. He didn't raise his fists. He just looked up at the council and said, "You called me weak. A joke, but I came here to help. You pushed me into the fire, and the fire shaped me. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here to remind you, humans don't quit. The secret's buried in stone." The armor was quiet now, but the ground was not. Beneath the surface of Xeron 9, deep under the mountains behind the old ruins, something ancient began to stir. Something older than the Empire, older than the armor. A sealed vault blinked, its red warning light flashing for the first time in over 1,000 years. Above it, Jack Ryker slept restlessly inside the ship that once called to him. The duel had drained him. The people now called him the Chosen. But even in his sleep, the armor pulsed against his chest. It was nervous. In the high tower of the alien archives, Thayeri walked through dusty corridors. She carried a stolen key crystal, one she had taken from her father's hidden collection. She placed it into a locked console. A glowing map lit the room. It showed the ancient layout of Xeron 9 before cities, before the Empire. It showed the deep underground chambers built by the first protectors, and it showed the vault. Thayeri's eyes widened. The Watcher said the armor remembers. But it wasn't just watching, she whispered. It was guarding something. Back. At the ancient ship, Jack woke suddenly. The lights in the chamber flickered. The Watcher appeared before him, her face more serious than ever. "Protector, something has changed. The Vault of Silence has unlocked. This is not normal." Jack sat up. "The Vault of what?" The Watcher's voice turned cold. "A prison. A place where the first wearers of the armor trapped a dark force long ago. The armor wasn't just a weapon, it was a seal." Jack stood. "You mean, I broke it?" "No. But your awakening woke something else." Jack's mind raced. "What kind of something?" The Watcher answered slowly. "The first betrayer." At that same moment, sensors across the capital went dark. Power dipped. Communication towers flickered. Even the Empire's warships experienced strange glitches. Thork, still bruised and angry from his public defeat, marched into the palace and demanded answers. Instead, he got fear. A message had arrived from deep underground. Not a signal, not a threat, a heartbeat, and it wasn't alien. It wasn't human. It was something else. Something once called the Null. Back at the ruins, Jack walked out of the ship. His full armor shimmered under the starlight. But this time it didn't feel heavy, it felt alert. He turned as Thayeri arrived, breathless. She held out a glowing datapad. "I found the truth. The Empire erased it all from history. There was once a civil war, not between alien races, but between those who wore the armor and those who tried to control it." Jack listened carefully. She pointed at the map. They locked the enemy beneath the planet, but not a creature. It was a mind, a living weapon, a thing made of fear and silence. Jack's eyes narrowed, and now it's awake. The Watcher appeared again. It seeks the armor. It remembers the last battle, and it wants revenge. Suddenly, the ground rumbled again, harder this time. Far away, behind the ruins, a mountain split open. A black beam of energy shot into the sky. The stars above twisted, and from the broken rock emerged a figure. Tall, shadowy, with no face, no skin, only light and darkness wrapped in a cloak of smoke. It had no mouth, but somehow, everyone heard its voice. "The last light has returned, and I have come to finish what we began." The crowd watching the arena fell silent. Children cried, Soldiers froze. The Empire's High Council ordered a planetary lockdown, but it was already too late. The vault was open. Jack stood at the edge of the broken cliff staring at the distant figure. The armor on his body grew hotter, heavier, like it feared what was coming. The Watcher's voice whispered one final warning. If you face it now, you die. But if you run, it will take the world. Jack clenched his fists. He looked at Theory. I need answers, real ones. She nodded. Then we go to the Forbidden Archive, beneath the Emperor's palace. There's only one scroll left from the First War, and it names the final power of the armor. Jack didn't hesitate. He turned, armor glowing, and whispered, Then let's finish what they started. The return of the Chosen. The sky was no longer blue. Above Xeron 9, the stars twisted like they were being pulled through a hole. The black beam from the broken mountain still reached into space, pulsing like a heartbeat. The people of the planet no longer laughed at humans. They no longer cheered for the Empire. Now they were silent, watching, waiting, and afraid. The creature, the null, moved across the land like a shadow with no feet. Lights died as it passed. Ships crashed from the sky. Soldiers froze in terror when it looked at them. It did not kill them. It erased them. Far below the Emperor's palace, Jack Ryker and Theory ran through stone halls. Ancient statues lined the path, warriors long forgotten. The air was cold, and the silence was thick. They reached a large gate. Theory placed her crystal key into the panel. The door slid open with a deep hiss. Inside, a chamber filled with glowing scrolls and broken weapons. At the center sat a small stone cube. Theory stepped back. That's it. The final codex of the Protectors. Jack picked it up. The cube glowed blue. The armor on his body pulsed in response. A voice spoke. Not the Watcher this time, but a deeper, older voice. Only the true bearer may hear these words. You have awakened the armor, but to unlock its full strength, you must give everything. Jack frowned. Everything? The cube lit up, showing visions in the air. A warrior in full armor stood before the null, sacrificing his life to seal the vault 1,000 years ago. The truth hit Jack hard. The armor was not just a weapon. It was a prison key. Above ground, chaos spread. Empire warships fired at the null, but nothing worked. Its body bent around energy blasts like smoke. It reached the palace gates, black tendrils rising behind it like wings. It didn't roar. It whispered, and everything near it died. Jack and Theory reached the surface. The sky was almost completely dark now. Thunder cracked, though there were no clouds. Civilians screamed and ran, soldiers froze. And then, Jack stepped forward. The armor, now fully awakened, shifted silently. New plates covered his spine, legs, and heart. The gauntlet glowed white. His helmet closed fully, forming a golden visor. The Watcher appeared one last time. Protector, the armor will obey your will. But if you call on its final gift, you will not return. Jack nodded. What if I don't? The Watcher looked at the sky. Then no one returns. There he grabbed his arm. Don't go alone, we can fight together. Jack looked into her eyes. You already gave me strength, he said softly. Now let me give it back. Jack walked alone toward the palace. Gates, the null, turned to face him. Its tendrils hissed. Its voice echoed in his mind. You are nothing. One man, one world, one breath. I have erased stars. Jack didn't flinch. He raised one arm. The armor lit up, bright as a small sun. From the sky, ancient symbols spun above him. The people watched, mouths open, as their new legend rose. You erased light, Jack shouted, but you forgot one thing. Even one small light can burn the dark. He ran forward. The null struck, but the armor did not break. Jack jumped, high, using the armor's boosters, higher than any human had ever leapt. He crashed into the null with a burst of pure energy. The impact shook the city. A massive explosion of light swallowed them both. When the light faded, The null was gone, so was Jack. Nothing remained but pieces of the old armor floating like feathers. Silence. Then, a small spark dropped from the sky, a glowing cube. There he ran to it. The Watcher's voice returned. Protector, archived. Tears filled her eyes. Jack had become more than a warrior. He had become the seal, the legend, the one who made the galaxy remember. Years later, children told stories of a human who wore a forgotten armor. The Empire fell. A new alliance rose, built on respect, not fear, and at the center of the new banner was the glowing outline of a man in armor, holding nothing but light. The message was clear. Never underestimate a human.